Just a little? Just un poquito?
Just a little bit, a little bit.
I hear it staticky.
Audio.
Ay, coño. I'm too little.
You gotta stand up if you want to go up, girl.
I know, I'm too little. Because then I can't get back on it. Listen, I'm not the tallest person in the world. There you go. I need help even getting tucked in, see?
I got you. I got you, little buddy.
It's been a day, but it's going to be a beautiful moment now. We're not sponsoring nobody. Okay.
Good.
Hi.
All right, you're live.
We're live. Hey. Hey guys. It's early and everything. Listen, it's been a mess, but I got a special guest, and he is becoming one of my favorite people ever. Introduce yourself.
I'll take that. My name is Cy Martial Law. I represent the state of New Jersey, and I'm just a fellow human being trying to do good things out there and make my mark on the planet Earth.
Fellow human. Dang, you like that was a poem. You need to. I was like, fellow human being trying to make his mark. You already are making your mark. You don't think so?
Um, every day is a journey and a battle. I feel like sometimes it's like two steps forward, three steps back. It's a constant universal dance, but just trying to. I
You
don't know.
do.
Sometimes I don't think it's about even. I think I heard someone say it the other day. It's not even about legacy. It's about what you're doing every day in the moment. So sometimes I'm not thinking about leaving a mark. Even it's just like something I said. Really, it's really about what I'm doing right now. So if I'm doing something good right now, I'm all right.
I agree with that to a certain extent, though. But listen, before I even, because I'm going to ask you about more about legacy and stuff like that. Tell
Yeah.
them a snippet about you. Like if you didn't, and listen, I already know about you. But if someone didn't know about you, what would you give like your intro would be? What would it say?
I would say I would start like this. I would say my name is Symar, spelled Cymar. It's an original name. My father invented it, so as far as I know, I'm the only Symar on the planet. I was born in England by way of Jamaican parents. Both of my parents are Jamaican. I grew up in New Jersey. We moved to New Jersey in the 90s. Because my name was original, I always felt that I should be an original type of person. So everything I've always tried to do has embodied originality, creativity, innovation, and because I moved from England to America at such a young age, I was surrounded by a lot of hip hop culture that I wasn't privy to in England.
Hmm.
So I have a great mixture of, American hip hop, UK, Jamaican reggae vibes,
You do.
and because my parents were Rastafarians when we were growing up, there was a whole positive conscious thing in my household that never really left me. So when like American kids were probably listening to like a lot of jazz music, my parents were listening to like a lot of like conscious reggae music around the house. So I feel like a lot of that music just got ingrained in my psyche and my emotion and spirit. So I feel like where a lot of my positivity came from. So I feel like I'm just a real positive person because what's the
What's the
other thing going
alternative?
for?
Yeah.
Right.
So you said all that, and I knew those things. But one thing that always stands out with me is like, I feel like you embody a little bit of the Rasta. Like, that's how I honestly, when I really got to know you more, um, you don't know this, but I definitely watch podcasts. I definitely listen to a lot of your music. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, you give me Bob Marley vibes, which I
Mm.
hope that that's a compliment because to me, when I think about it, it's a compliment. Like I think highly of you. No, truly. Um, I always thought like, man, he gives me like Bob Marley, like everything's just gonna be okay. The way you even write, the way you speak. No, when I we met on social media, but
Right.
we like followed each other. I didn't know much about you, but I was learning because I'm one of those people. Like, if I care and if I could see someone on my show or even in general,
Right.
like want them in my life, I pay attention. So I pay attention to the things you don't tell me. Like, okay, you told me this, but I know it's true because I've watched and I paid attention to your stuff. You
Right.
embody very much like that "don't worry, be happy" phrase for me all the time.
I think that comes a lot from my parents. To be honest, it's probably that Rastafarian thing that you're picking up on.
Mhm.
Because my mother is, I would suppose where I get my love from. She's like the strongest love I know, but she's very quiet. But my father is very strong, and I feel like the mixture of the two of them is me being outspoken and just like trying to pour my love out on everyone because you look out in the world and every day is negative this, negative that, and it's just like I'm not that. I know who I really am, and at the core of myself, at the core of all of us, we're love.
Mhm.
So
We
when
should
I'm
be at least. Yeah.
clear and pure and like
Mhm.
I'm knowing who I am, I'm just a loving, very loving being. So I try to be that all the time, but I can't say that I'm that 100% of the time if I'm being
Cause
honest.
lives, and we're human, and we're allowed to be like, you know what, that sucked. Like it doesn't make you less positive. It just that sucked. You know what I mean? Um, I did not have the happy-go-lucky childhood. If you know anything about me, I
Mm.
complete opposite probably of your life, but that's why I too am very like with the positivity, and I gravitate towards that, and it feeds me, and I want to be that. Like for me, that's a legacy in itself to like be remembered as like, yo, does she have a bad day? Like most people don't even think I have bad days. I have a lot of
So
them,
you
but
hit it on the head when you said something to me in the text, and you were like, "I bet you've been through a lot." So I wouldn't say I've been happy go lucky, but because I've been through so much,
mhm.
like emotionally, is why I have compassion or empathy for people. Because when I look at what I've been through, sometimes I'm like, "God damn, they
How
have
the
no
hell?
idea."
Yeah. Uh-huh. Mhm.
Like
Same.
that Bob Marley vibe. I'm looking at a picture of my dad right now. I'm about to run and get it. You probably see
You
where I get
should.
this Bob
You
Marley
should
vibe
show it.
from.
This is live, guys. We're doing You gonna show me a picture.
So
As you should.
this is pops.
That's crazy. Cause honestly, like, yeah, that makes sense.
So
That makes
and
sense to me.
look in his eyes. You already
Mhm.
know.
Intense, right?
Right.
Yeah, but in a good
So
way. Yeah.
yeah, for
Intense.
sure. So
People take intense as a bad thing. I'm like, no, I'm 1,000% intense. Like I know I am, but it
yeah.
is what it is, right?
So I lost my dad in 2013 to cancer, and that was probably one of the
Sorry to
hardest
hear
things
that.
I ever
Yeah.
been through. And that at times I was a single dad, and I don't know if you ever, I don't know your situation, but at times that's like the most trying thing someone could have went through. It was just me with the kids, but then there's the time I lost my brother. It's just a lot, and then
So
for me
we
to be
lost a lot of
here.
similar people. 'Cause I lost my dad when I was pregnant, my first child.
Oh
And then I
wow.
lost my brother actually 5 years ago. So yeah, I
Oh,
get
I'm
it.
sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
no, but similar. When you were telling me stuff about you, I was just like, if he only knew. Yeah, I similar stuff. So
So
your
I think
dad,
when
was that
people
a
have been through a lot.
we've been through a
Yeah, go
lot,
ahead.
but we
Sorry.
keep smiling, right? That's the whole point.
Right,
What's the point
right.
of
Because
surviving all the
life.
things that should have killed you and being unhappy? Like, what's the point of that? We
Right,
already been through
right,
all of
right,
it. Yeah.
right,
What do you
right.
think your dad left for you as a legacy?
My dad, the greatest thing he did or showed me is that you can always recreate yourself because he was the best at so many things. He was the smartest man I've ever known, but he was the best at a lot of things. And anything that he decided he wanted to do, he would just read a book. The book could be like super big. I would see him sit there for days and days and days and days and master it. And then you'd see him like fixing the floor or like putting siding on the house or doing something with electricity, like doing a million things, but doing it at a high level. So a lot of times when people say, "Sai, you're multifaceted. You're doing this, that, do that," it's because I got it from my dad. Dad could do everything, and he
So
wasn't afraid of things
I'm
or
glad you
trying
said
to
that
do
because you
things.
do everything. You literally do everything. You know you do. When you said that, when you were like, "Oh, my dad's good at this and this and this," and I'm like, "Oh, so you just like him." You literally. So give some them everybody, my millions of followers. That's what I tell. But tell them what you do. You have, I mean, you're an MC, you're an artist, you have your own show. Wait, I mean, listen, if you guys don't know about his show, I gotta put you on. You're an author and a good one. I
Thank
know
you.
these things. I read these things. Yeah. So what came first and why? The music, right?
So
MCing.
yeah, the music came first. So my older brother was an MC before me. He was actually a dancer, and then he was a MC. He was a rapper who moved to America, and then he brought me into his group. His group was called Ever Living Sound, and I was 16, and he was like, "Yo, you should be in my group." And I don't know if you ever heard of an MC called MF Doom.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Well, he was on a label way back in the day called Subverse Music, and my
Oh,
brother was
okay.
on that label as well. My brother's 7 years older than me, so I was like a little kid at the time. So they all lived close to each other in Atlanta, where the label was based out of. And
Okay.
at the time, MF Doom had told my brother in a personal conversation that the best way to make music would be with your family. So when my brother moved back to New Jersey, I was 16 at the time. He was like, "Yo, we should become a group together." And that's when Ever Living Sound was born. So that's when you see Ever
Okay.
Living Sound. That's me and my brother. But then in 2000, my brother, it's another whole story. He had to go back to where we were born, England, for a lot of different
Life.
reasons.
Yeah, life.
Yeah. So I got separated from my brother. So that was like a it was a very growing moment because of the two of us, I've always been the more quiet one, and he's the more outgoing and like friendly one. And then when he got, sent back to England, I kind of had to step out on my own and start doing shows in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and flying all over. And that's really how I became my own. So it started with me becoming an MC, and then because of the whole, I suppose, Rastafarian background of my parents and them always giving me like conscious books to read or like music to listen to, I feel like in my lifetime, when I speak to people, a lot of times they say, they used to say, "Oh, you should write a book because you say a lot of good things." And then I had been traveling all over the world. I won't say all over the world, but I would say all over
You
Europe.
were
And when I
around.
was doing these
Yeah.
tours,
Mhm.
these quotes would come to my mind, like original quotes, and I would start writing down like these quotes, and I ended up calling them laws. And then one day I looked up and I had like 100 of them, and so I decided to write a book, and I picked the best 52, and I made a book called The 52 Laws of Freedom. And within that, I wrote my autobiography, so that's how I became an author. Then I did a second book, and then the podcast came just because the world was changing, and specifically during the pandemic, I saw a lot of people hurting from mental health, like left, right, front, and center. And I've always said like I just have a lot of love in me. Like I have more than enough. Like that's what I say thank you for every day. About every day, like the most thing I say thank you for was how much love I have, because I see a lot of people, they feel like they look like they don't have enough. They act like they don't have enough. So
You want
during
to
the
give it.
pandemic, I had time
Mhm.
and I had a lot of love, and I was like, if I can help people, it genuinely was like, because if I can help someone hearing the sound of my voice, so I decided I would start the show with a prayer or a meditation or affirmation, because I wanted people to just know that I was there for them. And at the same time, like I was telling my man George the other day, I think the show is working because I'm not trying to act like I'm holier than thou. Like I said, sometimes I stumble on the path of the righteous man, so I might curse or say some effed up silly
Authenticity
jokes.
though speaks when you don't feel like you're preaching, and you don't feel like it's coming off like, I got this, and you don't like, come listen to me. You don't come off like that ever, but it's because it's real. When someone's playing a part of something, right? When someone's
Right.
trying to portray themselves as something that they're not, it'll show, especially in a show like yours, because it is like. So the first time I hit play, I was like, "What am I getting myself into?" I'm not gonna lie, I'll tell you, I was like, "Hmm." But I pressed play, and I was like, and I went back a little bit because I want to see like
Hmm.
your like your beginnings to what you're doing now. And
Right.
yeah, it never felt fake. It never felt, for I'll be honest, I never felt like I want, oh, okay, let me pause this. You got me really into, even because you're saying a lot of affirmations, sometimes you're rapping them, sometimes it's really, listen, I pay attention. Um I feel like that's you. So I'm like, oh, it doesn't come off. What I perceive of you comes off in your podcast, so I know I'm right. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, it's good. It's good. Plus, like, I was gonna ask you, because since I've done this, I'm thinking I'm helping heal people because I started for similar reasons. I was sick. I said, listen, if I'm gonna come out of this alive and well and thriving, I have to do what I feel like God's put in my heart to do from when I was young. I
Right.
was always like I could always hold a conversation with anyone, right? But it was more than that. It's like healing for me to do it and also to hear the stories that people have. I don't know if
Right.
you've been while you've been doing it, you do interviews, but also you do a podcast all on your own. Doing those interviews and hearing those stories of other people have been really rewarding for me. Like it's something I didn't expect. Yeah. Has it been like that
Right,
for you?
right.
Yeah.
Super inspiring.
Yeah, like
I can't say that I didn't expect it, but the more I do it, I'm just more surprised and shocked at the stories that touch me because I'm like, everyone's the same because the
mhm.
stories are different, but the messages are the same of how they're affected by the world and how the world has affected them and society is affecting us. So it's just really cool to see how we all relate on that level, but we're different at the same time. Like we're all different, but we're the same.
I agree with that
So
statement
it's
100%.
really cool.
The the stories are different, how people receive their story or even the things they go through are different, but what we want genuinely is compassion, love, understanding.
Right, and that's what
And
I mean. You hit
I
on that.
thought I was such a lone. I was like, "Ah, nobody understands me, right? Nobody gets me. I'm such a weirdo, blah blah blah." But it's not true. We're all damn
Right, we're
weird,
all going
right?
through
We're all
different things,
yeah,
but we're all looking for acceptance and
yeah,
love
love, care,
and someone to understand.
yeah. Even when they're like nonchalant
Someone to
about it.
yes.
Exactly. I think
I think that's a big thing too. People seeing us and us not feeling seen sometimes. I feel like that's like the biggest thing. I feel like people want to be seen, and because there's so much
seen,
going
heard,
on
and
with
understood.
TV, the government, social media, a lot of people just don't feel seen.
Hmm.
And I want to make sure I see people like when I go to the store, like I was just in ShopRite, and as I walk out, there's
Shop
the
right.
security guard
I
there,
miss.
and his name is Fidelis. I always say, "Yo, what up, Fidelis?" And when he picks his head up, he knows my voice because I think I'm probably the only person that says his name all day. So my goal in my show in my lifetime is just that when I'm here, I want to make people know that I see you. I want when you hear my voice, when you hear my music, when you hear my see my logo, it's about like we're here, we're human. I see you. Like you don't have
Hmm.
to conform to be anything besides who you really are. And I think a lot of people don't feel seen because life tries to make us put masks on,
Hmm.
so we don't express who we really are. Because sometimes people feel like if we what am I trying to say here? They feel like come on, SJ.
No.
no,
So nobody
it's like
knows you call me
yeah,
that. He calls me SJ, and he's probably the only one that's ever gonna do that. So let's not start a thing. It's a side thing. But yes, SJ. No, I get what you're saying. It's just basically like people want to be seen and understood and valued for who they are, but society tells us we're not valuable and that we're like
right.
conform. Everybody
And
should
we
be
have
the
to be like the
same.
person on TV.
Exactly. I mean, I never had a self-esteem issue. I had an identity issue growing up. And I had to separate the
Mm,
two because I've always loved me, right? So it's not a self-esteem thing. Even when others that should have loved me didn't, I still was okay with being me. I just knew society
right,
wasn't. I did for a long time.
right,
I struggled with like people pleasing or all of that, but it was more of I didn't think that they could accept me as me, even though I did. I was like, I'm pretty dope, but no, but I was a kid.
right.
I had to think like that because so many people were telling me I wasn't. So I was not
Right,
like the reason I feel like I'm even here to this day is because I heard what everybody else said, but I didn't believe them. Because if I had
right,
believed them,
right,
there would be
right,
no aspired podcast. What do you mean? So I
right.
had to, but I get it. What you're saying is like we
Come again,
as a
come again.
society feel like we have to dumb ourselves down, make ourselves small so that we can fit in to be seen. But then when you fit in, there's a million people that are doing the exact same thing. So are you seen?
Right,
No, you're still not seen. So it's better to weird it
right,
out and put your I always tell people wave that weirdo flag. Who cares? Like, yeah. But I love that you
Bro,
call people by
see,
name because
that's
I
you
pay
should be
attention to
wearing this
that.
logo because what you
Is
saying
right
is saying
here in el
everything this logo
corazon.
represents.
Yeah, it's
No, everything this logo represents is
yeah.
what you're
I
saying.
know. I need to
Yeah.
listen. This so I we started with a whole different logo that I had that meant something else. And I'm still gonna use that other logo for what it's intended to, my
Yeah.
nonprofit. But once this actually, I gotta give credit where credit's due. It was definitely help from someone else, but like the whole heart and in a conversation piece, that's basically what I want. Like in every
Yeah.
conversation, want to feel like I've either touched someone's heart or they've done it for me. That's why I don't like small talk. But if you're gonna do small talk, I'm gonna dive deeper. Almost always in
Yeah.
small talk, I can't do it. Like, but yes, like I feel like you're the same way. We went from like, hey buddy, to like we know each other's story,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
don't know how to half-ass that, right? I don't like half-assing a conversation. It always comes from my heart. That's why small talk gets me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable. I'm the weirdest person on small talk. Like I
And that's okay. That's
yeah,
okay.
and I'm okay with that too. If you get past that, then you'll see the heart. So you started emceeing with your brother, which I love that because I was close to both my brothers. I have a sister, but I'm in between two boys. My youngest brother passed. My oldest brother and I are super close. Um,
Sorry to
I
hear that.
couldn't imagine not doing things like he lives in New Orleans now, so it's all weird that he hasn't been on my
Mhm.
show, and he's literally like one of my best friends. Are you big on family? It sounds like it. So it's you and your brother. Do you have a big Jamaican family?
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, everyone besides me, my brother and sister were either born in Jamaica or England, but
Mhm.
mostly Jamaica. So yeah,
You
the
guys
whole
are.
family's Jamaica.
eh,
Or
Are
before
you
that,
the middle child?
Cuba. Nah, I'm the baby.
You're the baby. Oh, I'm a middle child. I guess I'm the baby now, but yeah, I'm the middle child. Middle child syndrome. So you're
So
spoiled.
I have an older sister. My brother and sister would probably say I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
I would argue that point, and I'm a pretty good arguer, so you
Oh,
probably wouldn't want
okay.
to argue that.
Okay. Like I'm gonna win this argument. Okay.
Probably.
Probably. I could you strike me as you're winning arguments. And with a smile. Like you probably smile the whole time. But you know that you're
Yeah.
being cynical. Okay, so you're just like me. We know that we're being terrible humans, but I'm going to win this argument. Okay.
My thing always is
Uh-huh.
that you
Uh-huh.
probably should have never argued with me to begin with because
You're always wrong. I don't feel like people are always wrong. I'm not always right, but doesn't mean that I'm not going to hold a good argument and my point is not good and going to be made. But yeah. What?
I probably could have been a lawyer
You're the type that gets people aggravated.
with a smile on my face.
Exactly. Okay, so we're the same. And you know you're making your point and you're aggravating them, but you're not going to stop until you make it.
But I'm making it by just doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Stop, because I know. Look at your smile. I can't stand you right now. I know it. So,
Because I'm not doing anything except doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
see, there he goes. I'm not arguing with you right now on national TV. Actually, this is international. It's international. But I'm not trying to argue with you because, yes, you're going to win. And I'm going to let you because you're on my show. So I'm be like, oh, okay.
I'll take it.
You're welcome.
I'm taking all the ways I can get.
From
Appreciate you.
emceeing, doing shows, how is it to perform New York? Like I've always, well, I want to bring up because that's what I want to see. Your books. First, I love this cover. Um, please, I'm glad you're plugging yourself because, so I don't have the other book. I don't have um, the second book. Where can they get your books? Amazon, everywhere. You have a website. I know you
You
have a
can get them
website.
from my website, CYVISON.online. You can also get that CYVISION.online, or you can get them from my Bandcamp, or you can type it in Amazon. And if you get it from Amazon, though, it's not me sending it. If you get it from my website, I
Oh,
actually send it.
so okay.
So
That's a good important thing for people to know. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Um,
what made you
yeah.
write your second book?
Oh, the second book, I got a manager,
Mm-hmm.
and shout out to Karina. It was her idea. She said that it was her idea to make the first book, more digestible.
Mm-hmm.
So I took out the autobiography parts and I made it more of a diary, and more of a pamphlet and more of a something that the reader can interactive, as whereas this is more of like an autobiography, a lot of words and stuff. So this one, you can take the lessons each week and then reflect on them and kind of understand what they
I
mean and
love
go
that.
back
Yeah.
to see your growth over time. So yeah.
What was something in writing the book that you saw in yourself, the growth over time? What was something that you saw?
That's a great question. Um, I would say that is a great question.
Mm-hmm. I'm like super humble. I'm like, yeah, I was.
uh, your head's not big at all. No.
I actually have a weird little head, but no,
Stop it.
I'm just a goofball.
Stop it. I think that I've grown a lot, and yeah, it's really it's like a therapy. It's therapy when you're writing a book. So
Hmm.
in the book, you really have to relive. I don't know if you're a big reader, SJ, but
I
I read a lot of
actually love words. I love to read. I write myself too. So yeah, I love it.
awesome.
Hmm.
So I read a lot of autobiographies. My favorite books
Same.
to read are autobiographies. So when I read these autobiographies, a lot of times they start with them being 3 years old, a really young memory, and I always used to think like, how do they remember this? So when
And
I started writing
detail.
my own, I like started delving deep into like my memory, like what I could really find, and not only that, I started asking people questions that knew me, and it was like therapy. So I grew a lot. So what I found is that I wasn't as smart as I thought. I wasn't as
Hmm.
just I had more to grow. Like I had more. Like I had like although I grew a lot, I was because I was able to look back at where I had come from. I was able to see like, oh, you have a long way to go because I saw how far I was, and that was eye opening because sometimes you feel, you sometimes you can't see yourself,
Hmm.
and writing about yourself in that way, like picking your part self apart, just enabled me to see myself for who I really was, and that helped me a whole lot. And when I was able to see myself for who I really was, it helped me grow, and it helped me, I think, help me help other people because I really pick myself apart because I feel like something like a book is gonna be here forever. So I felt like when someone reads it, they're gonna be able to tell if I'm bullshitting or not. So I really wanted to be honest. I was like, even if shit is trash, I'm gonna be honest because people can feel
Relate to
honesty. So
truth.
as I'm
Hmm.
sitting there fucking trying to be honest, trying to make the book good, I'm being a therapist to myself, and I'm like, oh, you're not as smart as you thought. And in
Like you
finding
should have
that, that's
worked on
how,
yourself a long time ago. Or yeah, I got
right,
you.
like you were able to see your mistakes as you went along,
Yeah.
and because you were able to see, oh, you're not that smart, it enabled you to become smarter because
Yeah.
it's like, you can see yourself now. And a lot of people never pick themselves apart. That's the jewel. A lot of people have everything to say about this person and that person, but they never look themselves in the mirror and pick themselves
Hmm.
apart. So as I'm picking myself apart to try to help other people, I'm like, oh, how can you help other people if you haven't picked yourself apart yet? So as I'm picking myself apart to try to help other people, it enabled me to become smarter by realizing I wasn't as smart as
Yeah.
I thought, if that makes sense.
Does the podcast do that for you sometimes too?
Yeah, yeah. It does it on a daily. Yeah, that specifically. Um but the podcast is it also is me not trying to have too much thought about anything. I just I just kind of want to be a pure fountain of just truth. And that's why I said I don't try to be right or wrong on there. I
Hmm.
just try to be honest and truthful, and I think that's what people relate
Gravitate
to.
towards. Yeah. That's what I gravitated towards you as a person before even hearing your podcast was like, oh, like I could see people that see themselves in another person can relate to them, obviously. So things you, the way you speak, first of all, things you say, your posts, and I always like your posts. Like, I don't even know how long I've been following you, but yes, it's been a while, and I'm like, oh, like or if it's something that I could relate to, I feel like what people are losing sight of in this business, and this is just not podcasting, not just books, but MC, music, everything, and in the arts, people are losing their sense of self. They are
Right,
always trying to portray what they think people would like, what's going to give them
right,
numbers, whatever the case is. That's why I say I'm going to act the same way on my show if I had 2 people or 2 million people. Like I really am. This is
right.
this is really what you got from me, you know, like this is
What
I
I
I
got day, what I
exactly, but
got
like
day.
I see that in you. I'm like, okay, and it's a slower for the more authentic people. It's a slower burn, right? Like so we rise probably at a slower rate, but like I told people, I'm not really doing this so that I could see millions.
It's
I'm
a
just doing
slower
this because this
burn,
is
but it's a
exactly.
healthier burn.
But it's
It's
healthier
a
too
healthier
because I
burn.
don't feel like I need therapy from my damn show or from, you know what I mean? Like I feel
Right,
like this is my therapy, but when you said pick apart, like every time I have a guest on here, especially those like deep connections, those like raw stories, I'll
yeah,
drive home and I'll sit on it, and it is something that I reflect like, yo, like she's really raw, or he's so honest with himself, like maybe I could be more honest, maybe I can, whatever it is. I feel
right,
like honesty
right,
isn't it, like I could be that. But
right.
I used to not be okay with vulnerability, in terms of like my past, like my story. Like I could be
Mm,
vulnerable about present things, and but the podcast has opened me up. Like I used to not tell anybody anything of real depth. Like when it came to
mm,
me, you could come to me with all the depth, and I would give all the advice, and I would love those deep stories. But I wasn't gonna tell you mine.
right,
The podcast
right,
changed that for me.
right.
What was that
And I
point?
bet you find strength there now.
Bro, strength. Like, and I did, and then I thought I was healed in some ways. So like when you're like, oh, I ripped myself apart, I thought I was smart. I thought I was healed. Hell no,
Mm,
I wasn't. Like I feel like you're never healed from things you go through, but you
right.
learn to live with it and not like let it rule your life.
Learn to
Um,
adapt.
Yes. I don't think I was fully adapted. I was like, I thought I was. Oh, I did the work. All this. I read this book. I prayed. Like, I'm spiritual, all of these things. And then when I pressed play, and I used to have a co host, and we started literally a ring light and in her home, like in her apartment, and we just started doing it from there. I just had this vision for a long time, and I never did it.
Right.
But from that moment when we press play, and even it was more playful and everything, we would have the deep conversations. But I was like, damn, like,
Right.
yeah, this I wasn't healed. I wasn't even close to things I thought I was okay with talking about. No, sir. But
Nah, I know what you
now,
mean. So
yeah.
I went from a place of I would be angry at things, and then I felt like I was healed when I stopped getting angry at them
Hmm.
because I was indifferent to them. But I found that indifference didn't mean I was healed because
And that's exactly
I
right.
was still was feeling some type of way.
Hmm.
And then I went from having compassion for that person or that situation or whatever it was. And then I thought I was healed because then I was like, oh, I feel sorry for them now because I'm healed. But then I was like, oh, I'm not
Preach.
even healed then. So
That's
I went
like
through
just right
stages of,
here. Hmm.
and then I found out when I actually really feel I'm healed. I found out you're healed when you love yourself.
Hmm.
So I went from indifferent to thinking I was healed to then, oh, because I have love for them and I'm not mad at them anymore and I'm not mad at the situation, then I'm healed. Nah, I literally had to be like, oh, I have to love myself.
It's
Like
that
I can love
forgiveness.
you and not be like I don't have to. I can have boundaries. I don't have to have any situation. Like I can love myself enough to have boundaries or to
Yeah.
say no or to walk away or to not allow you to do this or not to allow a situation to do that. And that itself is not conforming because I'm not allowing myself to. I'm valuing myself.
Mhm.
So that is this. That is what this is about. It's not conforming. It's loving yourself enough to say no or do what you really feel. And the podcast definitely helped me with that because I'm talking so much. I'm talking it out every week.
You're like, dang, you didn't know that you were talking to yourself, but you were. Like, I
Yeah.
love that you said to love yourself. So, like, last year, and maybe even the year before, I was in a phase because I had been, I mean, most people know, like, I had a bout of cancer. And I came from so much appreciation to be alive and that people were still in my life that it was like I was so happy with like just getting breadcrumbs, like just from
Mhm.
people. And I was becoming a yes woman and all of that. Not ever for my opinion on things, but oh, I'll help you with that. I'll help you with that. I'll help you with that. Yes, yes, for everything. Um,
Right.
and I was healed by then of my past, but I realized like I was not, and I wasn't loving myself. Even though I was appreciating being alive, I wasn't thanking God every day. And thanking God every day is to allow yourself, like you're supposed to love the things that God gave you, but you're supposed to
Right.
love you because He gave you, right? And I didn't
Right.
realize that until literally like 8 months ago, possibly, that I wasn't
Yeah.
even in a place where, and you go through things and then you have to kind of relearn this. So I'm probably going to relearn this every year for the rest of my life. But the same thing, love, like loving yourself to a point like that you could say no. Like I told myself this year is a year where like my nose are going to stay no, and I'm not doing anything that doesn't feed me. Doesn't feed my
Hmm.
soul because I was just doing the things that I thought I was supposed to. I'm alive. God gave
So
you a second chance. You better you know. And no, I wasn't being fed. So yeah, I got you.
so you say you might have to relearn it. What can we do so we don't have to relearn it? So we
But I
just
feel like
remember.
you do because don't you feel like there were situations maybe in your 20s that you learned and that life happened, you went through another whatever, and sometimes things are more tragic than others. So then you're like in that phase again of where you got to heal from certain things and you relearn it and it's okay. Like I want to keep it,
Mhm.
of course, and now I'm going to keep it closer to me because it's more important. Like I'm older, like now I have this life that God gave me again, so I'm going to keep it. But you still have to remind yourself. Maybe relearn is a bad term. Remind yourself of those
No, no,
things. Yeah.
it wasn't a bad term. I was just gonna say I feel you because I've done the same thing. So what I'm trying to do so I don't have to relearn things, because I have been there, is that make sure I remember to pray every day. Like
Hmm.
you were kind of saying, like every day, because
Amen.
I've been in situations where I didn't start praying until a situation got bad, and I didn't start meditating until things got bad, or I didn't start eating healthy until things got bad, or I didn't start taking
Hmm.
care of myself or loving myself until things got bad. So I feel like a way for me not to have to relearn lessons is by remembering to pray every day. I had a guy on my show interview. His guy's name was Cafino. He's a singer, and he said, "Side, things didn't start working out for me until I started putting God first." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean by that? Explain
Hmm.
yourself." I thought I knew what he meant, but I pressed him to explain himself, and he was just like, "In everything I do, every day, I put God first." So after we got off the call, I thought about it, and I was like, he's right. Like before I do everything, pray and meditate, like literally everything. And I thought I was doing it more. I was doing a lot before that interview, but after that, just like we're saying, the podcast sometimes can make you better. I started doing it even more after that, and things started working out even more. So I feel like if I keep that at the front of my brain, I won't have to relearn it because I should be appreciative and grateful every
Every
day.
single day. You're right. Every single day.
First thing, like as soon as I open my eyes.
I I
But I'm
love that.
trying.
I love
We'll
that. No,
see. See how it goes.
I have to. So I and we could talk about spirituality all the time because I am a very I didn't have that growing up in terms of like it wasn't fed to me except for by maybe two people that lived the life of like I put God first, and mainly
Mhm.
my grandmother. She was like it for me. She was really a mom, the mom I didn't ever really fully have. So but she taught me to always, even when listen, we didn't know, she went from super healthy to I'm gonna go visit her 4th of July weekend, and on my flight she took a turn for something, literally died 2 days later. But those 2 days taught
Oh,
me, and it's not a sad thing. It's crazy. I loved my grandmother. I miss her every day, but I'm not sad she's gone because she was super okay with where she was going. You know what I'm saying? Like she
mhm.
taught me more in those 2 days of us thinking she's gonna make it through. Like, oh, she's just sick, but she didn't make it, and she was so okay. I remember the day that she passed. She was like, "It's cool. I'll see you," and she called it in Spanish "el paraíso," which paradise, and she was like, "I'll see you there." Like, you know what I mean? She was so okay with death because she knew she lived the way she lived, right? So like with
Right.
God at her forefront. I will never think sadly when I think of how she died because she was like just smiling and the happiest I probably ever seen her because I feel like she lives so honorably and with
Hmm.
such grace and dignity that she was just like, I'm gonna be in heaven. I don't care where you guys are.
Yeah,
See you guys later. But it taught
I
me a
love
lot.
it.
It taught me a lot. I really, and my brother and her died within months of each other.
Well,
But when she passed, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. It was just like oh, peaceful. Like
hmm,
I've seen death so much and tragic death, but hers wasn't tragic, and to her she was just, I want to be that. Like I want to
right,
know that I lived so purely, that I prayed, that I kept God first, that I not only kept God first, but I treated people like I'm keeping God first, because sometimes those two don't intertwine. Where I'm
right,
good with God, I'm good with God, but like I want to be a good human being, right?
right.
She was such a good human being that she had no doubts and no fears, nothing about death. I'm not there yet. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not there yet. But that's that's where I want to be. Like I just really want to like. It's okay if I pass away tomorrow. And she lived her life so beautifully.
Right,
Like I know that that lady was a thug, but in the best
right.
possible way. Like she nothing. I saw her bury her child, which was my father. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she went through
Yeah.
tragic things, and that woman,
Bless our heart.
yeah, truly. If I have an ounce of that, I'm okay. That's how I feel.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely would like to be. I have nothing to be scared of at the end. That's why I'm trying to live. Yep, I
That's
love
what I
that.
want to, and I don't think it dawned on me that that's the kind of peace that I needed, like in my life, because I feel like the word peace follows me pretty much everywhere my whole life. Um, I remember I went to like this church group one time and I was going to say a little bit of my story. It was like a Mother's Day event and I brought the boy. Well, I had one at the time. And I remember them giving me like this rock and it just, the word peace was on it. And she was like, the pastor, it was a woman, and she was just like, I feel like this is something that's going to follow you, something you need to find. When I'm at that peace, like my grandmother, you can't tell me nothing. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's what I work for, is that peace, that harmony that I feel like I don't always have, or I haven't always had. I had a childhood like you wouldn't believe, but it's I'm getting there. You ooze peace. You ooze peace. You do. Like you're
Um,
just a genuinely like calm, cool, collected, peaceful person. And I know, no, listen, I don't think I'm wrong, cuz you can be like boisterous, you could be a lawyer and
now
you
you
could
know
be
what?
all that,
Now
but
you
I
know
feel
what?
like you very like there's not a
Inside
lot that
scoop,
shakes your peace.
inside scoop for you. So do you know I was born on the same day as Michael Jackson? Do you know that?
Mhm.
So you know how you when you see this guy, he's like quiet and calm, but when he
Correct.
performs,
Yeah.
he's Michael. So I have the same
I feel like you have that same thing. That's what I'm saying. Having peace within you doesn't mean that you're not performing like and I've seen some of your stuff. And then I started laughing cuz I was like, "Where's this guy in my messages? Like you're so out there." It's like me. I'm two sides of the coin. Like I'm like blah, like I could be out there. I'm super outspoken. You can't tell me nothing. Like you know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm not. I'm gonna speak my mind, but then there's a whole nother side to me that's just like I want to be led. I want to be soft. I want to be gentle. Like so, those two intertwine. It doesn't matter. People tell
Yeah.
you got to be hard or soft, but I'm both, and so are you. I can tell
I'm
you're
just
both.
I just try to be honest as much as possible because when you're honest, you don't have to have a good memory and you can just be
Exactly.
who you are and people feel it. And I feel like a lot of people are out there hiding who they really are. They're hiding their grudges with people. They're hiding their inner demons. They're hiding a lot. And then they're trying to be things that they're not. And then this causes a whole lot of problems. And it stems from a lot of people just not loving themselves and not
Mhm.
being comfortable with themselves and feeling like they have to conform to bring it back to that to what
When
society tells them to be.
when you came up, so I keep looking at the back. You have your CYVISON, right? When you got to the point where you were gonna create CYVISON, what did that come from? Like what was the name about? First of all, this podcast name today, I chose CYVISION because I feel like there's it's something about how you view things. So go ahead, explain yourself.
Sure,
But yeah.
sure, absolutely. So, Cyvision is my
Mhm.
company. It's my brand. When you see that logo, you should think Cy Martial Law or the brand meaning don't
Mhm.
conform and be who you are and stick to your guns and love yourself. So the reason I came to that point is because I didn't want to ask anybody for anything anymore. I didn't want to ask anybody for anything that I had inside of myself because I feel like when you ask for things, it's almost like a sign to the universe that you feel like you lack something. My love
Mm.
language is not having to ask. So
Okay.
now that I'm side vision, I'm not asking anybody for anything. Like I have everything. I
Yeah.
have everything. Like I don't need anything.
I love that.
I don't need to get signed. I don't need someone to give me a clothing deal. If it happens, I'm not gonna, put my guard up. But I'm
No.
saying like,
But you're not going out there looking for it. You're creating
yeah, like I
your
don't
own
have to
entity. That's what
conform
I'm
to,
looking. That's what I'm looking to
yeah.
do as well. Yes. But I
So
knew I
this
got
is my
that gist
brand.
of what that meant and everything. Like and also cuz I feel like you're very like a visionary in your own right of the things that you want to do and you everything that you do makes sense. And I don't know if that but everything you do. So like
Not everybody
the
thinks that.
no, but not everybody has to
I'm
think
joking.
that.
I'm
Like it's
joking.
true, but I think everything you do makes sense to what who you are and like okay, he does this podcast. Then when I listen to your podcast, I'm like, okay, this absolutely makes like this is him, right? Your
Right.
music, same thing. I feel like that's you. Like it's different parts of you, but it is you. Like knowing getting to know
Right.
you and talking to you and I'm like, wow, this all makes sense. Your books, all of it. All of it is like parts of you. So I mean, I don't know a lot of people that do things because sometimes people just do things to do them. This is going to get me the clout, the whatever, a few claps, a pat on the back, I don't know, whatever they want. This is going to get me money. But sometimes I know people and I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Like, certain people should not have a podcast. That's just truth. Like, that's not who they are. It's just, but some people who aren't talkers on a podcast sitting here interviewing half quiet is not who they are, right? I think everything that you've done, that I've read, that I've watched, that I've listened to, all makes sense.
Thanks. I'm having a ton of fun over here. I'm having the most fun I ever had in my life. This shit is like almost comical because
You
I'm
shouldn't be
it's
allowed to have this much
it shouldn't
fun.
be allowed. And what I'm doing is doing everything that I ever wanted to do.
Same.
That's literally what I'm
Hmm.
doing. Whether that's writing book, I got a couple albums coming out this year. Like things are popping. I'm about to be in a video game, but it's coming. Everything started
I could
going
see you in a
even more
video game.
faster when I
Yeah,
was just like, yo, I'm gonna like go all in on me. Like
on you. Yeah.
and I've seen more growth that I've done that I'll be transparent about. Uh, when I've done certain things, I felt like I've seen people see what I'm doing and like decide that they want to like do a variation of it,
Honey,
and
I
I'm
know.
like,
Same. Yes.
so the growth that I've had is that I've went from I used to get mad at it like why are they copying because I would be kind of annoyed if someone would be copying but not giving me credit for like
I
being the
agree.
originator.
Because that's just respect.
Right. And then there's like a lot of it going on.
Hmm.
But then I really just came to the like feeling an idea like there can only be one you first of all, but then even beyond that, that like you are here to motivate and influence and uplift people. So that's
So don't get
actually
mad when
working.
you do it. Yeah.
It's actually working.
Hmm. So I had the same realization too. Very, like, I want to inspire people to do what the hell they want to do, and I want them to feel confident enough to do it. And I am very much like, for me, like, when I first started this podcast, a friend of mine was like, "Well, it's not just gonna be like a girl, like rah rah only." And I said, "That's not even the type of person I am. Like, I celebrate all people. I'm actually really big on celebrating men because I feel like we don't do it as often, us women in this industry. Let's just be honest." But um, then when other people started doing their thing, um, and I felt copied at first, pissed. Not, I wouldn't even say pissed. I was more annoyed. The right word is annoyed. Like, oh, okay. I mean, similar even names of the show, like things like that, or the things I was choosing to do with my, because I'm starting a nonprofit. Um, that too, people were starting to, now they're all of a sudden big on charity, and I was getting upset, and I'm just like, it would I would be the fake one. I would be the one that needs to get um doing work on myself if I was getting mad at those things, because it doesn't make any sense. Like you said, like, if this is what we're trying to do and people are actually doing it and listening and feeling inspired, how can we be mad at that? So now and I'm always been a celebrator of people. I love to share people's things, like all my guests. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, a new album. Let's go. Let's clap for them. Like, everything. I've always been that. But when it felt like an attack on me when people were doing similar things that I was doing.
I had this conversation with my mom the other day, and I don't want to go on the deep end because I had to rein her back in because
we
I'm
we
not
could talk for
saying
hours because we're like that.
because I wasn't saying that people like imitating or copying is okay.
No,
And I had to tell her that like I'm at the realization like they're doing it and I understand why they're doing it and I have this influence and that's okay, but at the same time I'm not saying them like copying and
imitating. Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's
It's not. It's
okay.
not.
I'm just saying
Yeah,
that like I can't give my energy towards being upset at it because now I understand why it's happening, whether it's happening for a good reason or bad reason. I understand why it's happening.
correct.
It's because
It's not
yeah,
okay. It's not okay to be copied, but at the same time, I don't know that the people that do these things are hyper aware or even know or think
Nah,
they're
not all
copying.
the time.
Like I
Not
think
all the time.
most
Not at all.
times they're just like, "Yo, she's doing great," or "He's doing great," or whatever the case is. Like I've always wanted to do this. Let me try. And then they cuz my first seasons, even second season, and I loved my co-host, like nothing wrong with that. But we were definitely amateurs just pressing play. You know what I mean? Like I had no script. I had no idea what I was going to do. So I didn't really, and a lot of people are like, oh, you must watch all these podcasts. And I don't actually. I don't. I like to listen to certain ones that I like to listen to, but I'm not a big podcast. Let's see what they're doing. And a lot of people are like, oh, the way you learn is by watching. And I said, but I don't want to learn by watching them. I want to learn by
Right.
doing and being who I am. And
Right.
I didn't want to do what we're saying other people are doing. I didn't want to accidentally even imitate, so I didn't watch. Like I don't like watching them. I like to listen. So, okay,
Yeah.
I get inspired. I like inspirational things, happy things, but I didn't want to sit there and watch other women how they act because I'm not other women and I don't want to act like that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I think it is I would wish that someone would give a hats off every once in a while, but at the same time I'm like, you know what? Half the time people are not even aware that they're
No.
copying or whatever it is they're doing. You know what I mean?
Ha- yeah. Half the time, the other half, they know what they be
They
doing.
know what the hell they're doing too. Listen, I'm full of grace. I'll give you a little grace, but I know some people that damn know that I know are like, she did that. Okay, and to be honest, at this point in my life, I just don't care. Like, I hope you all win. Cool. I'm still doing me. I don't care. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what other people are doing. Doesn't
There
matter.
can only be one.
Yeah.
One Sujay.
What? Yeah. You said Sujay. Sujay. That's my government name. No, I'm kidding. It's rare because you call me SJ. It's so
Yeah.
funny when you call me. Listen, I don't easily offend, and I when you said something earlier when you were like, "Oh, you had a uncommon name, so you wanted to do things that were uncommon. You wanted to be the rare." So similar to me, when I was younger, I didn't know what my name is from Spain. It's a Spaniard name, like I'm part Spaniard. But um, for the longest time, growing up in New York, you get weird names, but they were tied to something. And
Mm.
for me, that tie, my birth father passed away when I was 4. So my dad, that I say dad, he's my sibling's father, but he's not mine. And not a lot of people knew that growing up. So I conformed. Okay, I want to fit in. Everybody else has normal names, right? Um,
Mm.
but then it was just like, yo, I'm okay with being the odd man out. I'm okay with and I
Yeah.
wanted to be different. Like I in my household, I'm definitely called like I'm if anything, I'm the black sheep, but not necessarily for the reasons people are called black sheep. Just I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. I was okay with
Right.
having those tough conversations. I wanted change. I read a lot even growing up. And that wasn't the cool thing to do, but I did it. And so then I
Right.
was just like, "Oh, I'm going to use my name and this is as not use my name as this is who I'm going to become, but I'm going to become this and I have a cool name." Cuz
Yeah.
now I
Yeah.
think it's cool, but growing up I didn't. And I can't picture myself being a Sally or Susie or whatever, you know,
Nah.
stereotypical name
SJ.
are out there. I'm a Suje for sure. Like you're
I
you
like it.
are a Saima, like you really are your name. You really are.
I'll take it. I'll
Yeah,
take it.
take it. What's next for you? Tell me a little bit. You said you got a couple albums coming out. How you got a
Yeah.
couple
I'm like,
albums, man?
I'm a big mystery over here. I have so much coming, but it's like I have so much coming, but I don't know
In
when I
what
should say
position?
it. It's all coming like
You
right
don't have
now
to
though.
say it all, but like, hey, it's coming soon.
It's
Music.
all it, it's all. People keep asking me for new music, and I feel like I was dropping a lot of music, but
You do.
it's coming.
But you do drop a
Yes.
lot of music, I feel. You got a
Yeah.
long catalog, in my opinion.
Yeah. This next album is gonna be my 10th album. This next solo one.
Okay.
Man, I can't
10th
wait to
album,
show
yeah.
you guys everything. I have two albums coming out this year though.
Well,
At least, at
everything you
least.
post, like tag me. I'll share with, I'm proud of you. I'll share.
Thank you. I
I
appreciate that.
What
I'm
is
gonna I'm gonna take you up on that.
No, truly. I will. I was going to ask you, of your 52 laws, what's your favorite?
Ooh, that's a good
Eh,
question.
I know. I've been wondering.
um, I'm gonna go with I can't give a favorite, but I thought you might ask this question, so I thought one. Law number 15 is create good memories,
Mm,
and I love that law because
mm.
every day we wake up and life hits us, whether that's our jobs or our families or our friends or not our friends, whatever it is, and then the day's done. And it's like time goes by just like that. And a lot of times people are like, oh, I didn't have time to do this, I didn't have time to do that. But I feel like when you consciously
Want to create those
say,
memories.
say I'm going to create a memory, and a memory is something that happened in the past, but when you consciously say I'm going to create a memory, like you set out the day to create a memory, oh man, that's a law and a half. Like
I agree
making
with
sure you
that.
did that shit. Like if everyone would think like that, like today I'm going to make sure this is a memory of me having, and then make sure that shit happens. Oh man,
I agree, but I don't know that I've lived in that. Now I feel like I want to. I always Cause we always wake up, oh, it's Monday, right? And I jokingly like, oh, can't wait for the weekend. Thursday is Friday Eve, right?
yeah,
But in reality, like every day we should live like that. I just joke around
right.
a lot, but I think I for the most part try to, but there'll be days, and of course there'll be days. But I love to purposely tomorrow I'm gonna make a memory.
I
I got
love
you.
that.
This is a
I love it
memory
about you.
I told myself I was gonna make today. Like I no, truly. So like today I had a very long day. Thursdays are crazy for me, but today was longer. Added more stuff to the plate since it's not full enough. And I was like, today's gonna be a great day. And you're on my podcast, so I was saying that like, oh, it's gonna be a day. Like it's gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing. But yeah, today's a memory. And and your laws I'm telling you, like, because I knew that law already because it is one of my favorite, but I felt like you would have chosen something different. But it makes sense. You make sense. Create memories. What's your
What law do
favorite
you think?
memory of today? And no, don't ask me that. I'll tell you later. But yes, that one's deep. What's your
Ooh,
favorite
my
memory of
favorite
today?
memory of today. That's how you know I'm a big mystery because
You cannot
I've
be a
been
big
have.
mystery. Not on my show.
How can I say this without saying it?
Just blurt it out.
I am. If I wasn't on the phone, if I wasn't having this call with you right now,
Hmm. I can't.
all this, everyone's about to know all this stuff anyway. But I'm just like, stuff
There
is
was
about to
something
start
big
coming
that was
back
going
to
to
me.
happen today, or that is happening.
If I wasn't on this call with you, I would have booked maybe the biggest trip of my life.
Okay. Am I
It's
stopping you
going
from doing
down.
something life changing?
No, because I'm gonna do it after the call, and it's
Okay.
just me that I'm fine. Everything's been moving in place for
Okay.
everything that's about to happen over the next few months to happen. Like I've purposely not been rushing, and people have been not happy with me because I've not been rushing. Like it has to happen bigger and better than this. Everything has to be bigger and better because I've put way too much heart and time into everything that I'm doing, and heart and love and
Bigger and better, Mr.
yeah,
Sai.
yeah, yeah.
Bigger and better. That's
Not conforming. Being creating good memories is not being upset with you going to work that
mhm.
day. Like, well, I have a regular job. I'm a
Mhm.
network engineer. I don't know
Same.
if you knew that.
Same. Mhm.
You're a network engineer too.
No, no, no. No, I knew what you did, but that I have a regular job too.
So I do better at my job when I focus on it with one mind. Like I'm there 100%. Whether and that means like not trying to text while I'm at my job, not trying to use social media, not so
I got to do better about that.
that's
I
that's
do.
what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
so with what I'm trying to do with my brand and my book and everything that I'm doing, when I'm doing it, I really try to just focus on it and put my whole heart into it. And there's too much heart that goes into it for me to not try to give my best effort because I deserve it because I love myself. So that's what this is about. And
I
I feel like
mean,
more people need more of that because
I
they
wish I could
deserve it. I tell my
exclamation
son this
point
all the
all over.
time.
I
Like,
agree with
yo,
that.
value yourself. You deserve it. You're worth it. And a lot of people are just out here acting like they're not worth it, whether that is them consciously thinking that or subconsciously thinking that. And that's what I'm here to tell people. Like, yo, you're worth it. You're enough. And that people are like, yo, Sai, how are you able to have your business, your books, you writing this, you doing that, you got this coming out? It's because I'm worth it.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm acting
You
like I'm worth it.
prioritize
I'm
you.
enough. I'm
I
enough.
agree.
I love myself, and so are you.
I love it. I love it. I want to stop there just because, like, that's it. That's the point, right? That's
That's the point.
that's literally everything. That's what you stand on too. Like everything like that. I could tell. I did it. I feel like you inspire. No, truly, because I think with me second guessing myself. So I know what my worth. I love myself, but why am I second guessing? You know.
Right.
So you said a lot that I'm listen. I'm writing these things down. I'm gonna ask you questions later. Like what the yeah, but
Got you.
I'm proud. I'm happy we did this because like I've been wanting to for a while. I think probably at least last season I was like, yo, I really got to talk to this guy. This guy Sai. Like,
Yeah.
but we like here and there spoke, but we didn't really deeply speak until recently. Like where I was like, he better be on my show. I'm like, I'm gonna go to Jersey, and nobody goes to Jersey. No, I'm kidding. So I have to joke about it. Listen. So some of my favorite artists are from Jersey. So please, I love Lauren. Exactly. Listen, I love Lauren Hill. We talked about this. Yes. So tell my people and now your people where they can find you. You already said your website, but repeat it. Repeat all your socials, where they can find your music, everything.
So the original website is hiphopintheflesh.com.
Okay.
That's my website where I post my podcast and everything. Sai Martial Law,
Mhm.
hiphopintheflesh.com. And then my website for my merch and like my books and stuff is CYVISION.online. That's CYVISION.online. And then I got an album coming out this year with Slimline Mother called The Peaceful Warrior 2 Raw Self Expression. I have an album coming out with Ramson Bad Bones called Undiluted. I have a
Oh, I love
bunch of
that
other
title.
things coming out that you're just gonna see coming down your timeline very
Yay! We
soon.
go we go run it up. Thank you, Sai, Mr. Sai,
Thank
as I
you.
call you, Mr. Sai. Nobody else can call
Thank
him
you.
that. That's a law. Write that down for your next book. Only
Got you.
only SJ calls you Mr. Sai. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I
You are
appreciate you.
just a beautiful person. I hope
Thank you.
like we could
Same to
listen. We
you.
got to work together. I feel like
For
there's
sure.
something in the works. Okay.
For sure.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Guys, I'm Jay.
Thank you
This
for
is
having
Aspire
me.
Podcast. Thank you for coming. You showed up.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Peace.
I've got a story.
Real talk, real people, real conversation. Week to week, this the place to get your inspiration.